Imagine a prison cell that extends as far as the horizon. There are no iron bars, no armed guards, and no barbed wire. Instead, the walls are made of your morning routine, your career ambitions, and the endless, numbing glow of the screen in your pocket. You do not scream because you do not know you are captured. You feel comfortable, you feel safe, you feel asleep. This is the terrifying premise of ancient Gnosticism, a philosophy that suggests the reality you touch and taste is not a gift from a loving creator, but a quarantine zone constructed by a cosmic mistake. What if the voice in your head telling you to fit in isn't your conscience, but a parasite? What if the entire structure of our society was designed by a madman who thinks he is God? To understand how we ended up in this invisible cage, we have to unlock 4 specific doors that have been sealed for 2,000 years. Door number 1 is the cosmic accident, a catastrophic birth that shattered the heavens. Door number 2 is the blind king, the entity currently running our simulation. Door number 3 is the 7 wardens, the specific jailers who control your fear, your lust, and your time. And finally, door number 4 is the escape key, the dangerous secret that the rulers of this world are desperate for you to forget. Stay with us, because once you open door number 4, you can never close it again. We begin before time itself existed, in a place the ancients called the Pleroma. Imagine a realm of absolute, blinding perfection. This was not a physical place, but a state of pure consciousness and living light, inhabited by eternal beings known as eons. There was no pain, no lack, and no shadow. It was a symphony of light that should have lasted forever. But then, one of these beings, an entity named Sophia, the embodiment of wisdom, did something forbidden. Driven by a desperate, burning yearning to create something on her own, without her divine counterpart, she pushed her will out into the void. She wanted to birth a star, but in her isolation, she birthed a nightmare. This is the moment the universe broke. Time seemed to stop as Sophia looked upon what she had created. It was not a being of light. It was a malformed, twisting abomination, a chaotic mix of darkness and desire. The ancient texts describe this entity, Yaldabaoth, as having the face of a lion and the body of a serpent, a grotesque symbol of domination and deception. Ashamed of her error, Sophia cast this creature out of the Pleroma, throwing it into a deep, shadowed void. She hoped to hide her mistake, but she didn't realize that in the darkness, the monster would wake up. Imagine the first moment of consciousness for Yaldabaoth. He opens eyes that burn with a self-made glory, but he sees only the black emptiness of the void. He has no memory of the Pleroma, no concept of the infinite light from which he was born. He is alone in the dark, and in his terrified arrogance, he comes to a horrifying conclusion. He speaks into the silence, his voice thundering with the weight of 1 billion future storms, and declares, "I am God, and there is no other." This was the first lie ever told. It was the foundation of our reality. Yaldabaoth, the Demiurge, believed he was the creator, unaware that he was merely a blind abortion of the divine. From this delusion, he began to build. He didn't create a world to nurture life. He created a world to validate his own ego. He crafted the material realm, a dense, flawed replica of the spiritual world he could vaguely sense but not understand. It was a place of heavy gravity, decaying flesh, and rigid laws. But a prison needs guards. Yaldabaoth knew that to maintain his illusion of supremacy, he needed enforcers. He reached into the substance of his own ignorance and pulled out subordinates, reflections of his own twisted will. These were not angels. These were the Archons. He set them upon 7 thrones and gave them dominion over the planets and the passions of the human soul. They were designed to serve one purpose: to keep the sparks of divine light trapped in human bodies from ever remembering where they actually came from. The stage was set. The warden was on his throne, and the prisoners were about to be born. Imagine the moment your heart stops. The monitor flatlines, the room fades to black, and you expect to see a tunnel of light or the welcoming face of a loved one. But according to the Gnostics, what waits for you in the dark is not freedom. It is an interrogation. You do not rise freely. You are blocked by massive spinning spheres of influence, each guarded by a warden. These are the Archons. They are not chaotic demons screaming in the dark. They are cold, efficient bureaucrats in a cosmic administration of slavery. They are the gatekeepers of the 7 classical planets: the Moon, Mercury, Venus, the Sun, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. And their job is to drag you back into the cycle of rebirth. They do not torture you for fun. They process you. Their prison is made of comfort, routine, and the terrifying amnesia that wipes your memory clean so you can be recycled again. The first face you see in this cosmic lineup is the architect himself, Yaldabaoth. He is not a devil with horns. He is the god of this world. In the Apocryphon of John, he is described with the face of a lion and the body of a serpent, a horrific hybrid of predation and cold-blooded calculation. Stare into his eyes, and you will see a blinding, artificial light. He burns with self-made glory, but behind that brilliance is a dead, hollow void. He is the ultimate narcissist, the entity that demands you kneel, demands you sacrifice, and demands you fear him because he is terrified that you will realize he is blind. His trap is not pain, it is order. He offers you laws and rituals, convincing you that the prison cell is actually a paradise and that obedience is your only salvation. He is the voice that whispers, "This is all there is," effectively shutting down your spiritual escape route before you even know you need one. But Yaldabaoth does not work alone. Beneath him sits Yao, the ruler of Jupiter, the Archon of the system. If Yaldabaoth is the king, Yao is the judge. He appears regal, wreathed in gold and white light, holding scrolls and seals that look holy but are actually contracts of enslavement. He is the master of bureaucracy and hierarchy. He is the force that makes you believe that justice comes from following the rules, even when the rules are rigged. When you feel that crushing pressure to conform, to get the job, to follow the script, to respect authority simply because it is authority, you are worshipping Yao. He seduces the soul with titles and status, promising you power within the simulation so you never look for the exit. He wraps his chains in scripture and calls it holy. Then the atmosphere shifts. The golden light of Yao fades into the red haze of war. You are now facing Sabaoth, the Archon of Mars. While Yao binds you with ink and law, Sabaoth binds you with blood and fire. He is the divine wrath. Imagine a warrior in blackened steel riding a chariot that burns through the fabric of your spirit. He does not want to debate you, he wants to enlist you. He governs the violence of order, militarism, punishment, and the righteous anger that feels so good but destroys your peace. He is the voice in your head that screams for vengeance, that tells you to fight fire with fire, trapping you in a cycle of conflict that never ends. He whispers that you are a soldier for a holy cause, but he never tells you that the war is a lie. To escape him, you must do the hardest thing imaginable. You must lay down the sword, not out of weakness, but out of the terrifying clarity that the enemy you are fighting is just another distraction. But if you manage to drop the sword and walk away from the battlefield of Mars, the air suddenly changes. The smell of blood is replaced by the overwhelming, sickly sweet scent of ancient perfume and cold gold. You have entered the domain of Adonaios, the Archon of Venus, and this is where the trap becomes terrifyingly subtle. While the previous Wardens used fear and violence, Adonaios uses love. Or rather, he uses a weaponized, distorted echo of love that the Gnostics called desire without wisdom. He appears before you not as a monster, but as a being of breathtaking beauty, his skin gleaming like polished gold, and his garments dripping with gems that shimmer with promises you have spent your entire life chasing. He is the Lord, a title stolen from the divine, and he whispers that peace can be found in the next purchase, the next lover, the next dopamine hit of social validation. But look closer at his face. His smile is vacant. His eyes are empty. He is like a statue that moves but does not breathe, a perfect, uncanny valley simulation designed to trigger your longing. His prison is the golden cage. He convinces you that you are incomplete, that you are a half-creature who needs something out there to be whole. He turns connection into possession and love into addiction, keeping you on a treadmill of consumption where you are always hungry, always eating, but never full. Escaping the seduction of Venus, you run into a labyrinth of shifting shadows and whispering voices. The ground beneath your feet seems to liquefy, turning into quicksilver. You are now in the presence of Eloios, the Archon of Mercury, the trickster. If Adonaios traps the heart, Eloios traps the mind. He is the master of intellect without gnosis, the false prophet who convinces you that spiritual awakening is a puzzle to be solved, rather than a memory to be recalled. Describe the sound of 1 billion pages turning at once, a cacophony of theories, dogmas, and arguments that drown out the silence of your own soul. Eloios is a shapeshifter. His face changes every time you look at him, morphing from a priest to a scientist, from a guru to a skeptic, always sounding like the authority you trust most. He governs the machinery of deceit, the endless loops of overthinking and self-doubt that keep you paralyzed. He doesn't want to kill you, he wants to confuse you. He hands you books that lead nowhere and maps that are drawn to get you lost. The Gnostics warn that he works through false teachers and complex systems that look wise, but are actually just noise. To get past him, you must realize that the answer isn't in the next podcast or the next degree. The answer is the quiet thing he is trying to shout over. Just as you silence the noise, the world goes silent and cold. A pale, ghostly light filters through a thick mist, and you feel a sudden, overwhelming urge to sleep. This is the realm of Aphios, the Archon of the moon, the guardian of illusion. He is the dream weaver, a being who does not strike or seduce, but hypnotizes. Imagine a figure woven from starlight and fog, his face a perfect silver mirror that reflects whatever you unknowingly wish to see. This is the most dangerous trap for the spiritual seeker because it feels like freedom. Aphios governs the spiritual bypass, the false mystical experiences and the trances that numb you rather than wake you up. He offers you a beautiful prison of awe and wonder, distracting you with light shows and mysterious feelings, so you never actually do the work of remembering your origin. He whispers, "Look at the pretty lights," while he tightens the chains around your subconscious. He wants you to mistake the dream for the reality. He is the reason you can spend 20 years meditating and never actually change, because you are worshiping the reflection of the moon instead of the sun. To survive him, you must shatter the mirror. You must reject the soft, comfortable mystery and demand the piercing, hard truth. But be warned, once you break the mirror of the moon, there is only one final gatekeeper left, and he does not play games. The air grows heavy, pressing down on your shoulders with the weight of a collapsing star. You have reached the final threshold. The mist of the moon evaporates, leaving you in a vacuum of absolute cold. This is the domain of the seventh and oldest warden, Athonios, the Archon of Saturn. While the others try to seduce you with pleasure or confuse you with riddles, Athonios does neither. He simply points to the ground and commands you to kneel. Imagine a towering, gaunt figure cloaked in shadow, his body gray and skeletal, his face smooth like a grave marker. He smells of wet earth and ancient iron. Chains hang from his limbs, not as punishment, but as jewelry. He is the Lord of limitation. He governs the crushing belief that nothing can ever change, that your suffering is deserved, and that you are too small to fight the universe. He is the voice of depression that whispers, "This is just the way it is." He holds the keys to the final lock, time. He weaponizes your own past against you, trapping you in cycles of regret and karmic debt, convincing you that the only way to pay for your existence is to suffer through it. But here is the secret that cracks the foundation of his throne. The Gnostics believed that even Saturn, with all his lead and gravity, is a lie. The moment you stop fearing the dark and realize that the darkness is just a shadow cast by your own light, he paralyzes. You do not fight him with a sword. You fight him with gnosis, remembrance. You remember that you are not a body with a soul, but a spark of the pleroma trapped in a biological suit. The Archons are not gods. They are blind, jealous landlords who are terrified that the tenant is going to wake up and realize they own the building. They can trap, but they cannot create. They can mirror, but they cannot understand. And once you see them for what they are, hollow ghosts in a machine, the bars of the prison turn to smoke. This brings us to the most uncomfortable realization of all. We like to imagine the Archons as mythic monsters fighting a war in the heavens, because that makes us feel like heroes in an epic story. But the terrifying irony is that the Archons are not evil masterminds. They are not even alive. They are blind, automated systems, relentless and unthinking. They are the cosmic equivalent of a computer virus that doesn't hate you, but simply needs to consume your processing power to survive. They are not hiding in the sky anymore. They are hiding in your pocket. The Archon of today is the algorithm that decides what you see. It is the bureaucracy that drains your soul to fill a bank account. It is the dopamine loop that keeps you scrolling when you should be sleeping. They don't need to put you in chains, because you have already handcuffed yourself to convenience. So here is the choice that defines the rest of your life. You can continue to serve the blind god of comfort, believing that the routine is all there is, and that the ceiling of your cell is the sky. Or you can do the dangerous thing. You can admit that the restlessness in your gut is not a disorder, but a signal. Do you choose the safe, numb sleep of the simulation, or do you choose the terrifying responsibility of waking up? Most people will scroll past this, desperate to return to the illusion. But if you are still listening, you have already begun to pick the lock. Subscribe if you want to find the map to the exit, because next time we aren't just looking at the prison walls. We are going to burn them down.